You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. President Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan is his three-part agenda to revitalize the country's economy. It includes three plans. They are the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, the American Jobs Plan, and the American Families Plan. Earlier today, I talked with Cederic Richmond, the senior advisor for President Joe Biden, with regards to the plan and also what are they doing to ensure black businesses are benefiting from these contracts. Let's get right to it. President Joe Biden's agenda in terms of Build Back Better agenda. Exactly where does it stand specifically? How has this been helpful to black folks?
Well, I'm going to go back, Roland, but I'll try to do it very quickly. It was a year ago today that we laid out the Build Back Better plan, and that was before the election, before inauguration. But we knew that in order to build back better, one, we would have to get the pandemic under control, invest in people's lives, and give them some direct payments and help immediately to get us to a point where we can invest in infrastructure and then human infrastructure. So what we did was we passed the American Rescue Plan, $1.9 trillion. In it, it had 1,400 direct payments for about 165 or 68 million Americans, at least 1,400. It had the extended child tax credit in there enhanced, which will reduce black poverty this year for children by 50%. It will reduce black poverty overall by about 38% this year, along with an enhanced earned income tax credit. And in the American Rescue Plan, we put $5 to $6 billion in there to help farmers and pay off their loans of farmers who have been historically discriminated against, and that's specifically for those black farmers. So we did the American Rescue Plan. Now we came back with the American Jobs Plan, which is the infrastructure plan. We're going to get 10 million homes that have lead service pipes delivering lead to them. We're going to eliminate those. The 400,000 schools with lead pipes delivering water. We're going to make sure we do that because too many of those people who are on the other side of those service lines are black and brown, and we know that water with a high lead content leads to issues and problems. The other thing, Roland, I'd say is that we did the biggest financial investment in HBCUs in this country's history. We did $4.2 billion for HBCUs, $1.6 billion in capital finance, loan forgiveness or debt forgiveness, which they had been asking for and desperately needed. And then another $2.6 billion to help them through the hard times. And so we know that the black community is disproportionately taking the health pandemic effects of it and the economic. And so we're going to cap it off by leaving the American Jobs Plan and then going to the American Families Plan, which combined the American Families Plan with those things that were left out of the Jobs Plan. And that's where we get our Build Back Better plan from. And that's going to invest in another 2 years of free education. 3 and 4 years will be in school, not daycare. We're going to make that child tax credit that we did for 1 year. We're going to make it, we're going to extend it out along with the enhanced earned income tax credit. And that child tax credit, 95% of the children in this country, their families will get a tax break because of the legislation we passed. And families with children will start seeing checks come on July 15th every month to the end of the year, because we don't think people should wait to the end of the year. We think they should get it every month to help them while they're raising children. So we think it's a comprehensive plan. And also in the Families Plan, you have paid family leave. You have money for elder care in our care economy, so our seniors can stay at home as opposed to having to be somewhere else. We're going to raise the pay of those people who work in the care economy, which are disproportionately Black and brown and female. And we're going to invest in those Title I schools that we talk about that are primarily schools in poor districts so that they have a smaller income base. And we don't think we should cheat the children because of where they live. And so we're going to do that. So it's a robust agenda, Roland. And I didn't even talk about all the things we did in terms of not contracting with private prisons, changing the guidance to federal prosecutors saying, do not go in there and just ask for the toughest sentence that you can or longest sentence. Make sure that it makes sense. Or the fact that our Justice Department is suing police departments across this country for pattern and practice violations and unconstitutional policing. We're charging officers like we did in the Ahmaud Arbery case and what we did in the George Floyd case. And then we're also suing to fight discriminatory voting rights actions that disproportionately hurt Black and brown people. So we have a big agenda. We're not saying we're done, but what we're saying is we're intentional about it. And by the way, and I'll start with this, we've nominated 4 Black women to the federal courts of appeals. There's been no president in the history of this country that has nominated more than 4 African-American women to the Court of Appeals. We've gotten 2 confirmed. And by the way, we're only on day 170.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you talked about, the rebuilding part, and you know, I talk a lot on my show about black businesses, contracting, things along those lines. A lot of this money is going to states. How do you ensure that Black contractors, Black engineers, Black architects, African Americans who are owning these firms are participating in this, and the conversations you're having with these trade unions and others? Because we're talking about, you know, again, this infrastructure bill, $1 trillion, all of this building. How do we ensure that African American businesses are participating in this on the federal level?
Well, one, we set the tone. And just look at what we did with federal procurement not too long ago. It used to be a 10% goal. We're moving it to 15%. And what that amounts to is $100 billion over 5 years. But the other thing, I think it all starts at the top. And you have a president that's not afraid to say minority contracting or racial equity or economic equity. And he wants to make sure that Black and brown people are participating. So if you look at what we did with the American Rescue Plan, we didn't send all the money to the governors. We sent a lot of money directly to mayors and then gave them the leeway that they could spend some of that money on summer jobs programs, community violence intervention, recreation, after-school programs, things that really invest in our communities. And so when you think of infrastructure, it'll be done with that same mindset and making sure that minority businesses participate, making sure they have the access to capital to do the contracts, make sure that they have the bonding. But more than anything, make sure it is our expectation and desire for small Black and brown businesses to participate.
And as a part of that, and when we talk about, you know, obviously going from agency to agency, we know one of the things that happened before, typically under Democratic presidents, you have an unbundling of contracts. Under Trump, they bundled them back. So you really have these large contracts. You know, it was Maynard Jackson who showed how by unbundling those contracts, breaking those primes into smaller contracts, allows for Black-owned businesses to compete. Is that also happening? Is that the edict that has gone down to different agencies?
Yeah, that's our goal. And I think the president actually talked about that either in a speech or executive order. And then you have Ambassador Rice, who's running our whole of government racial equity department, so to say, our task force. And she's making real strides there. And we're going to make sure that we break down all those barriers. Yeah, you bundle a whole bunch of contracts. Small Black businesses can't float those payrolls for all that time, nor get the bonding. And so that's been a way that people utilize just the procurement requirements and the size and scope of contracts to keep people out, and especially small Black and brown businesses. And what Maynard was able to do still shows today. If you look at Herman J. Russell Construction Company, which is one of the largest African American in the country, it was because of that airport job. And so We get it, we know it, and we're pushing SBA to make sure that they are monitoring, that they are desegregating data, and that they are making sure that they're investing in companies so companies can get these contracts and be successful with them.
And we just saw there was an announcement that Wells Fargo, I believe, they're stopping their lines of credit, and that's one of the issues as well. And so for SBA, anything when it comes to ensuring capital, because look, a lot of you, as you know, a lot of Black businesses can float their companies for 30, 60, 90 days waiting on government contracts to pay, sometimes 180. And so that's also, is that also a part of that responsibility or the edict coming down from the White House to the agencies?
Yeah, and I'll give President Obama a lot of credit. President Obama very quickly, when he was in office, said that he would like to get to almost, I think it was a 60-day or 30-day payment. And that would be our goal too. We think it's doable, but we think it's important, especially when you start talking about the size of contracts that are labor intensive, floating that payroll, the matching taxes that go with it. All of those things add up to a lot of stress on small businesses. So what we're also doing, Roland, is making sure that we give the SBA more money, billions of more dollars. And I think our plan is to give them either 25 or 35 billion dollars more, so that they can do exactly what we need them to do to help small, disadvantaged Black and brown businesses grow.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate the update and appreciate future updates because, we're going to stay on top of this, pushing this whole issue, not just in the private sector with these publicly traded companies as well, with our Where's Our Money segment, but really on the federal side as well, because that's the only way I think we're going to be able to put a dent in decreasing this wealth gap if we expand, build capacity for our Black-owned businesses.
Roland, let me just thank you for what you're doing. I think what's really important is is how you communicate to people and how you hold people accountable. Look, we don't mind passing that Janet Jackson test of what have you done for me lately. We believe if you look at the historic investment in HBCUs, if you look at what we're doing, what we want to do in housing and all those other things, we are being intentional about helping the Black community, the brown community, and not leveling the playing fields, but actually bringing equity into it. So the more that we can educate people on exactly what we're doing, it's the more they know that elections actually have consequences. That, we got rid of the Muslim ban. Yes, we ended private prisons. All those things that we did almost on day one to rectify the damage that President Trump had done. They won't know about it but for you. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.